Good morning everybody, NVP here. It is Sunday the 14th of August, about lunchtime, and just welcoming you to another weekly update of the Forex market, the G8 Forex. Just a quick introduction, my name is MVP, that's my kind of call sign on all the big Forex sites. I host a website there, FXCorrelator.com, you can see, and that's myself there with Mr. Corey, as I call him, my FX Correlator indicator, which I offer for free here at my website and other areas. And just introducing you again there to my home website. Go there, have a look through, see what you think, and you just get an idea of what I do and who I am. So just introducing that. Also, I do have a YouTube channel, invariably, and plenty of videos on there. I've started to fire this up again. It went pretty quiet for a few years as I've been busy on other things. I do run a consultancy business aside from my Forex trading, but there's plenty there, and it gives you an idea of who I am, what I do, and again, just some free links, some free videos of how to use strength meters, which I hope you'll find useful, and that is at YouTube under FX Correlator. So just a heads up on that. So without further ado, I just wanted to talk you through the week, where we've been, what we've done, and again, I use a variation on one of my free FX Correlator strength meter indicators. You can see here, this one I'm able to reset to a starting baseline, which I set to Sunday night, just gone, about a week ago, and around the 7th, 8th of August. And we're just going to show you how the week's gone. Every coloured line you see there represents a currency, the G8 currencies. The top left here shows you what those currencies are. And I'm just going to give you an idea of what happened in the week, if that's okay. So let's have a quick talk through this. I'm not going to spend too long. I didn't trade much this week, guys, if you were following my threads at Trade to Win and Forex Factory. I've been traveling on business for a couple of weeks now. Still will be back in the UK at the moment, so I just thought I'd have a heads up here, see how we did. But again, I didn't scalp that much during the week. I got a few sessions in, most probably 2 or 3 hours, but again, you know, without all my stuff around me, you know, my TV screens, my charts, I'm not going to be as confident scalping as I am sitting at home at my office. So let's see how we did this week. So at this end on the left here, just indicate, you can see this is Monday. Monday's always a fairly quiet week, and you see volatility wise, when I mean volatility wise, what do I mean? I just mean how far the currencies have diverged from the zero. See the dotted line zero here, horizontal white line there. The further currencies move away, both individually and as a group, that shows you how volatile the G8 market is. It's a simple equation. The G8 market, guys, when you look at Forex strength meters, it's a zero-sum game. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that if you add up the values of all of these guys here below the line, add them up, and they'll come to a negative figure, let's say 200-300 pips. If you then add up each of the currencies above the zero, they will come to equally and opposite the same value. That's the nature of the beast. That's what strength meters do. They give you a gauge, an indication of the relative values of each currency. So it is a zero-sum game. So volatility wise on Monday, you know, I expect to see the market getting up to probably 50 to 100 pips, and we got 64 pips here. The highest was the orange Aussie D, and what did we get down to? Well, invariably either the yen and or the red sterling, yellow yen, red sterling. They got down to the minus 60s. Again, that's not absolutely exact pippage. Again, correlators, FX correlators generally are MA based skewed indicators, so you can't get exact correlation or accuracy to the market, but it gives you a good idea roughly of what each currency is doing pip wise. So Monday was fairly quiet. Again, just bringing these up, I suppose. The yellow yen, probably the most aggressive to sell through Asian and most of London. And what have we got up here? I'll just bring this down just to give you an idea. I know it's difficult to see, guys, apologies for that. We had the brown CAD there, but actually the Aussie D was the one to be buying through the session. And then later on in the day here, which is more late US or mid US into late US, it flattened out. So Monday really was quite hard work. Again, I didn't do much Monday. I can't remember if I posted much or not, but I know it was a pretty flat day. And in fact, the early part of the day, if I had been trading my early London opens, was probably the best part of the day, to be honest with you. Let's go on to Tuesday, 9th of August. And can anybody see the currency that has now made a very, very strong bid to be the bear currency? As you can see here, late US session, early Asian Tuesday, sterling took continued hits, and as you can see here, the red arrow showing that Tuesday was all about selling sterling primarily. We came into the session probably minus 50s, minus 60s, and came all the way down into the minus 130s. So a double push, 60 to 70 pips both days down. So you were definitely selling sterling Tuesday, pushing it right down here to these levels, minus sub 100 now pips, which is not too bad actually. That's pretty good, pushing into 2 days activity volatility wise. Easy sales on sterling, and I think looking here, you could have picked up good scalps on pretty much anything really. When I'm scalping, which is obviously very short time frames, I'm looking for the pairs which are generally lower spreads. I don't want to be paying more than one pip on my spreads, 1.5, and therefore really the best I can really do is I'll go to the cable, the US dollar, because obviously that offers the best spreads on most markets because of the fluidity and the fact that the US dollar is so prevalent in most pairs, and the euro, blue euro, probably would have gone those guys. The others starting to cost me a little bit when I'm scalping on such short time frames. So that was the sell. Buy wise, well, actually you can see here the Aussie D came back up, CAD came back up, most things did. I mean, USD was flattish there, then going bear later in the day, and the yen actually was quite a nice steady climb there. But again, you have to watch the market and try and understand where things are. Generally at this point, I was still very much on the US sterling if I had been trading. Okay. And then later on into the day here, this second half of the area here is always going to be US opens into US mature market. A little bit of selling off of the dollar later on as US came on board, so I would have been watching that. And sterling inevitably comes back. Everything, all markets cycle, guys. You talk about cycling, going up, going down, going up, going down. All markets cycle, and that is anything from commodities to equities to even indexes here, currency indexes. Everything cycles. It does not move in straight lines, and invariably sterling came back a bit. People taking profits there through the US session. Okay, so that was Tuesday. Let's talk about Wednesday here, middle of the week. So by the middle of the week, you see that the market, well, for me the market really hasn't matured this much at this moment. I expect, we're coming into Wednesday here, and as you can see here, that from this side about 60, 70 pips. Nothing has gone more than 70 pips at this point in the market as a bull, and really down here, yeah, okay, so sterling's down at the 130s, so that's obviously been the alpha currency to be selling. But this is not really a spread for me. You can be easily up in the 200 pluses by now if you have a good volatile market. So I still think it's pretty quiet for the week. By Wednesday you expect the market to be starting to really expand that volatility, expand that divergence, both sides of the zero. You've still got a lot of currencies tight here. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 currencies here, still very tight to the zero. So pretty quiet week. And interestingly, the yellow yen there. Now the yen's an interesting currency. It is very volatile, guys. If you want to find volatile currencies to trade, you go to the yen and or you go to sterling. So sterling is proving to be the case. It is being nice and volatile. It's got a good divergence here, but yen is very tight. And I think I remember commenting on my threads through the week how quiet yen was this week. It did warm up a little bit later on in the week, as we'll see, but still pretty tight. It's been bear here. It's been bear here Monday, but very quiet. So I wasn't getting the pippage I would have liked from my yen pairs. I normally trade the UJ and I trade the EJ, Euro and USD against that. They're the two, again, because they're tighter spreads for scalping. But it's pretty quiet, and that's a shame, because that restricts me with two of my good pairs I like to trade. But let's see Wednesday. Well, Wednesday we had the CAD coming through here late Tuesday night, and the CAD, it was bullish. You can see it came up through here. There's the arrow there. It came up from the 60s for the week, came up into the 100s. So there was 40 or 50 there. Early session. It's definitely into London. And what were we selling? Well, you come down here and you see I've got my green arrow here now, starting to really get into things. And the USD really had from even mid-Tuesday, we're starting to have a real sell-off. It came through the zero for the week, so you see, so it was bullish, came bearish, came down here, and there was a good run down. This is Asian, and then very much into the London, early London, and even early US session. Good sell-offs. That's probably 40 off 20, 30, 40, 50 pips there, I think, guys. Let's have a look. Got down to the 90s from the 40s. Yeah, there's about 50 or so pips, so that's not too bad. So definitely selling USD, and again you see sterling comes back, got into the early Asian, and then bang, straight down again, and again here we are. So you can see we're getting back to these kind of resistance levels here. You see here, just pops up. Support and resistance still works on indexes as well, guys. If you have the right indicators you're using, you mustn't have them skewed by moving averages, because that will mess up your support resistance line. But something like this, which is pretty accurate to real-time pricing, you can use support and resistance here. So there's a nice R level there, so it comes up to here, and couple of signals, and off you go all the way down again, selling all the way through the whole of the day for Wednesday, and that's coming back to the 70s. So you're probably 70 down there for the week, and pops up, just gets inside here, fakes the market, as you have to respect with support and resistance. There's no absolute accuracy. Market gets faked out and then comes back down, and you're coming all the way down to the minus 170. So there's a 100 pip sell, 100 pip sell off roughly for Wednesday for sterling. So let's take that all the way down there. So yeah, you can see the two currencies you were selling, and you could really have bought most things into these guys. You obviously wouldn't trade these two. I mean, you could have done there. You could have sold sterling into USD early US session, but really you would trade these two the same direction. You'd trade them both south, and you'd trade north. And CAD was a safe one. I mean, a bit choppy. I mean, this is going to hurt you if you're not being careful. But that was nice. The Aussie pairs there were good. So euro pretty flat, but again, you know, when you've got this kind of negative move on one of the currencies, you're going to make money on the pair, yeah, especially sterling. So there you go. That's Wednesday. I won't bore you too much. Thursday, very quickly. Good week Thursday. By now you can see the volatility very much expanding for the G8. They're starting to get a good spread here now. CAD came off, and as you can see here, a lot of action around this support resistance line. You see this moving up and down here, came down here. So this was probably in the region of 10-20 pip range, but it does drop down early Asian, and then London session, and then into US. Very good move up here. We're 50-60s here up to 190s. That's nearly 130, 140 pip move. So CAD was the buy for Thursday. Sell wise, well, you could have sold most things into CAD. You're not going to lose money on those trades because of the veracity of this move from the Canadian dollar. USD came back a bit, but down here sterling's still falling. It's still the dog currency for the week. You see here, support resistance area, that's 170. There's about a 20 pip range there where sterling was teasing you, but sure enough comes down to the resistance line here and just straight through. This was early London, and so if you've been smart enough to be looking to start selling around this area, minus 150s down to 225, that's a 75 pip move. Within about 3 or 4 hours, so that's not too bad, is it? Not too shabby. Again, selling sterling, and again selling sterling into most things. You know, if you were stepping back and taking a risk on more exotic pairs, you buy CAD, you sell sterling. There's a lot of pips there if you hold your nerve for the day. Yen again still bouncing around the zero here, the yellow yen, and again still pretty tight. For yen, this is zombie land for yen this week. Yen is doing nothing. I expect yen to be easily out the 150s by now, and it's not going anywhere. We're waiting for it to fire up. It's not giving us much. It comes south now, so again people start to get into shorting this. So we'll see what Friday brought for that. But that was the week. Interestingly, Friday wasn't as I thought. I would have had an alert on CAD here to start shorting it. Yeah, below these kind of levels. I would have expected to see CAD come off here as people took profits on this bull phase, but it didn't. Surprisingly enough, that shows how strong CAD was. That is a strong move for CAD on Friday to hold the line there. So very, very strong indication of what CAD could do this coming week. Again with sterling, again I would have put a big bet on that this line would not be breached for Friday. Again, I would have expected sterling to be coming back in, people to be buying or just reversing their shorts for the week, but they didn't. Again, sterling sold off again, especially US session. Oh, that is wicked, wicked, wicked. So an interesting day. I mean, pretty flat actually. If you step aside from these numbers, if you look at how flat most of the lines were, Asian and London, it was really only the US when things warmed up. You see, there was a big sharp spike down, selling off dollar, selling off sterling. Yen came back again. Yen teasing this week, and the cake came north. So Friday was quite a tricky session, and again, I think I on my threads, I think I talked about just how tough that was for a day. It was very low volatility in the morning, especially. I just wanted to quickly show you August. So this is the 1st of August down here, yeah, all the way through to the 12th. So we're halfway through the month. I mean, generally August can be a quiet month, very much a holiday period, and most markets should not really be showing that much volatility. But if you're reading the markets, you'll know that there's some of the new highs being hit in the US in the equity market. So interesting month. What's happening in the Forex world, in the G8 world here? Well, I think the message we got this week, as you saw, was that sterling is selling off, and actually it sold off last week as well. So sterling, really, we're down into the your 350 pips minimum down now for the month. Although it had a good start to the month here, see the red up here doing well, and so it is all about selling sterling in August so far. Buy wise here, I mean, quite a mixture up here. Most things are doing okay-ish. You've had a good Aussie D for the month. Yen is doing pretty well, although yen had a funny week, but it still finished still fairly high there, plus 150s, 170s. So they're probably the two main currencies it's worth buying. The green back here, you see the green currency here? Still pretty flat, isn't it? It's been a bit bearish, a bit bullish, a bit just flat. So again, you're never going to get too much out of the USD, but definitely the message for August is selling sterling. I'm not sure if that's going to continue. We have to see. Down the bottom here, you can see here support level. I mean, in terms of support resistance, I mean, I'm just putting a couple of lines on here. This was quite critical here. You can see this area here. So, I mean, the question is, where is it going to go in this area? Is it going to fall below this level of support, or is it going to come back up into this area for early week coming? And again, I'd expect to be seeing some very significant resistance here. I don't know what it's going to do in this area, but I can tell you if it gets above this, then you really do not need to be planning to see a good push north for sterling. But we'll have to see. Support and resistance there is going to be key. I never try and predict what markets are going to do. You just trade what you see. That is what I teach people when I'm teaching. So that's it. So have a good week. I hope you have a good week next week. I'm going to be traveling a lot and consulting again. The other part of my business I do, not Forex trading, but I will try and get online as much as I can and give my comments when I see them. But other than that, have a great week. This is MVP signing off. Cheers.